Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. PR Patel. Host में कौन है?
Good morning. Good morning. I am the host.
Okay. Like, we are getting YouTube live. So is it on YouTube?
Yeah, it is on YouTube. I'm just trying to record because I can reuse for others.
Okay.
But instead of recording it locally, I'm just recording it on YouTube. Nobody's seeing it on YouTube.
Okay, fine. So let me start the session with an introduction. I welcome Mr. Vignesh. He has been my schoolmate, but more than that, he has done a lot of things professionally. He has been an MBA from Cranfield University, UK. He has worked in so many government departments, including HP, na?
I'm the host.
Hindustan Petroleum. So he has got a lot of IT experience. The best thing about him is that he has been running an IT company in his own native place, which is a tier 3 town with a population of say maybe 1 to 2 lakh population. He has been for the last 1 decade. He has been running it from doing international business, sitting at his hometown, developing local talent on advanced technologies. I think which is a very big commitment to the cause of going vocal for local, even before all these words came into play. And more than that, I wanted to have an introduction on this technology on which he has been also working recently. It's a very new technology, so I am like to explore this. So we'll have a very short intro session just to understand about what is Flutter and how it could be used and where it is used. This is to have a overall idea. I don't have any fixed plans of using Flutter in any of our projects right now, but this is just to put it across to all you people as a capacity building initiative for my technical team. So with this, I welcome Vignesh for having agreed to spend some time for us pro bono and also to help us in our initiatives. Thank you so much, Vignesh, for joining. Congratulations for doing such great work in your place. Keep rocking. Also, I request you to now start the session.
Thank you very much, Nagarajan, for the kind introduction. Good morning, friends. As Nagarajan put it, it will be very brief. I don't want to go very long about it, but so this is
just for confirmation. Can we just cross check others are able to hear us? Chetan bhai?
Yes, sir.
Samblai છે ને?
Yeah, Samblai છે.
Okay, carry on, Vignesh.
Perfect. I have not muted anybody. Everybody can unmute if you want. So that's the whole idea, essentially that it's a two-part presentation. I will show give a brief introduction about the background of this technology. And I think many of you will be more excited by the actual demo or kind of a workshop that you can say. A very quick thing. And questions can be asked anytime in between. We don't have to wait for the end of the presentation to ask questions. If you can put your hand up and unmute yourself.
Yeah, it's a very small team discussion only, so everybody feel free, and want to keep it in a very interactive mode. It's just an exploration, nothing, no tension for anybody. Just we have 45 minutes to 1 hour to have a nice talk.
Yeah. So first of all, what is Flutter? Because it is a very interesting new concept, but at the same time, what are we going to use it for, and what it is? So it is essentially an open source UI software development kit. It is being propagated by Google. यानी Google उसको सबको लेके जा रहा है, but yeah.
Vignesh, 1 second. There is some cracking noise in your mic.
Is it better now?
Yeah, it should not be moving. That's the point.
Okay, probably. Yeah. So this is an open source UI source software development kit. It is being developed by Google, but it is essentially a open source kit, so everybody can contribute, and we will see that later as well. So it is a cross-platform front-end development tool. When I say front-end, it does not have database interaction capabilities. It does not essentially work with servers. But other than that, any computing device, or in fact, practically any device, can actually use Flutter. So today, for example, it already is used in Android and iOS mobile development. It is used for desktop development. So you can actually develop an application for Windows, Linux, and Mac OS using this tool, which will work natively. It is not a web app. And then there is a web application. Now, the web application and the desktop part of this technology is not fully ready. It's not 100% working, but we still can develop a few projects for the web as well. Coming to the mobile part, the application has been in use for a long time. We will talk about why the advantages and all that. It uses a language called Dart, which itself is a very new technology, in a sense that it was only developed in 2012, and later on it got a little popular. But it's not a very difficult language to use, to be honest. If you are used to any development, whether it is Java or .NET or even JavaScript, you should be able to easily learn this without a lot of problems. This is a very, very new technology. It was released in 2017 by God's grace. We got to know about it in 2018. At that time, it was very immature. Many issues were there, but still, the advantages of the platform was very, very visible to us. So we put an entire team on it, 4 people. Now we have about 10 or 11 people working on the technology, and we have clients who are very excited about it. But it's a very, very fresh technology. Let's go to the why part. Why use Flutter? I mean, there are so many cross-platform development applications itself in this world. Let us say React Native. Then there is Xamarin, which is being used to develop in .NET for all the platforms. So the one advantage is that it's a single code across platforms. Even today, with all these tools, there is no tool available which can allow you to develop for desktops, mobile, and web with a single code base. You can create Java applications which will work in all these platforms, but they will not be native applications. They will still be Java applications. It will look and feel like a Java application. Or you can create anything in any language, but end of the day, it will not be compiled to the native code. So when I say compiled, it's essentially works with the hardware very natively. So that way it becomes much faster, easy to interact for the user and all that. We will see the advantages a little later. One is it is single code across the platform. The single largest reason I ask my friends and our staff to learn this is because it is very, very easy to learn. It is not complex at all. We will see the demo later in the day, so you will also agree with me. But we as a company, we decided to learn this because it is very, very easy. And not only is it easy to learn, it is easy to develop applications because there are so many community components. So when I say components, it may be difficult to understand now, but when you develop a project, you won't expect the entire project to be developed by somebody else and available. But if you look at the parts of it, most of the parts are ready. So for example, if you want a social media avatar icon, there is a part for it. If you are looking for even a ready-made calculator to be integrated into your application, it is ready. So many parts of the application are pre-developed and is free for us to use. And this is not just from Google, even from other developers. So this is a very attractive feature of Flutter. You don't have to do all the work yourself. Full pixel control is another thing that most development platforms don't give you in a mobile. To demonstrate this, if you really develop a Flutter app, you have control for the entire pixel. Like you have control even to the area where there is display of time and battery levels and things like that. So no, most of the other platforms will restrict you. They'll have an app bar, and then you won't have the control over the app bar as to what can be shown there. You cannot animate your app bar. Many restrictions apply in most of the mobile application platforms. But this one gives full pixel control. It feels very different when you have full pixel control. This is one point maybe difficult for you to understand now, but you will definitely understand it by the end of the day. Crash control is very, very good. We have applications which are being used by more than 300 people in a live environment on the ground in India. So people go to all corners, east, west, north, south, everywhere. And there can be places where there is very little internet connectivity. In all such situations, the crash is one thing that you can really control. There is no real crash at all. And if at all, if there are crashes, it handles it very neatly. I think there is a chat. Let me just have a look at it 1 second. Okay. Yeah, if you can make it in the audio, it will be great. Thank you. Okay, now let's look at how. This is the biggest problem generally in a new technology. because you have to install the application, you have to install the editor, and so many other things. The great thing about Flutter is that it works already with your common editors. You could be using Eclipse, you could be using Visual Studio Code, you could be using Sublime Text or any other editor that is generally used by developers. And there is a plugin available for Flutter in that platform, most of them. So it will be very easy for you to work within your existing tools so that you don't get confused with the new tools or anything like that. So that is the first thing. In all these plugins come with emulators, and you can also actually work with real mobile devices. So when I say emulators, it's essentially a representation of the mobile device itself. Again, we will see an example later in the day. But I think the best tool really to start, honestly, if people sitting in this room get inspired and want to develop a mobile application, simple sir, not something very complex. I can guarantee that aaj ke andar, if you want to develop a mobile application using what you are learning in this training, it is possible because you can use it completely web-based. I will show the demo later in the presentation, but usme, you can actually create applications that do simple things like showing a text or anything like that. You can start with that. Then you can go to next level of, let's say, complexity, and create applications which are using APIs. You could already have an API. So I will also try and show you. I don't know if I will be able to do a demo from my mobile, but if I am able to, I can actually show you a small application with the code, with the code that you can use to kind of search Wikipedia. So you can actually search articles within Wikipedia using that application, using an API from Wikipedia. So if you can do it with the Wikipedia API, you can do it with any API. That is the idea. The only thing that I will say about the web-based demo is that it is not complete. That is only for you to start. It is essentially a very small experiment that some people have done. It is coming out very well, but it is developing day by day. But it gives you an immediate start. आप शुरू कर सकते हो. You can actually start right away. कोई installation नहीं, कुछ नहीं. Any device that you are on, you can just go to that place and start learning Flutter. And more importantly, see the results of it instantly, and that will be a great starting point. So that is what we are going to use today. इसके बाद I'll just get a little technical. अभी तक I have not really talked technical at all. So everything in a Flutter is a widget. I will stop for a brief moment now and just ask you if you really understand what a widget is. Can anybody answer what a widget is?
Yes, sir. Widget is a small group of pixel that Flutter renders on the device.
I mean, generally, widget is not a proprietary thing of Flutter. I mean, Flutter it is used, of course, but yes, as you rightly pointed out, it is a group of pixels or a small area in the screen that can show or interact with the user in a very specific manner.
We can say it's a mechanical device.
Huh.
So we can say it's variable, anything.
Oh, widget is like a independent component.
Correct.
With independent functionality on an overall screen.
Yes, generally widgets are used within a larger application for a specific purpose. You can say a clock, an analog clock is a widget because it is completely unrelated with other parts of the application. It will keep running at the bottom. Similarly, you can have a calendar. You can have something which is completely unrelated, but
it's like a small function put in a container and working independently.
Exactly. But Flutter, from the ground up, everything is a widget. Your screen is a widget. It's a large widget. And then within that, you can have different widgets. So everything is developed as a widget. which gives a lot of flexibility for you to just take components from the internet and use it in your application without any major complications, because it is completely independent. It can interact with your application through data and all that, but it is essentially an independent component. Even screens, everything is a widget in Flutter. And again, there are widgets with state and statelessness. Statefulness and statelessness is essentially that it can react to user events. Essentially, that is the difference. You will get to learn more about it when you work with it. It's very hard to explain from a theoretical point of view, but essentially, the only difference is that if something doesn't interact, it becomes stateless. The reason I have mentioned this as a separate point in this slide is because it is very, very important when you start developing applications to learn about this part. So this is only a brief or a very small hint about what are the major parts of the application. Then again, as I mentioned in the previous slide, you don't have to develop everything yourself. 95% of the times when we want to do something as a development company, we just Google for it and we will find something that can do 80 to 90% of what we want. And then we will just change a little bit so that it can work within our application. I mean, I am talking about even complex components, very, very complex components being available ready-made. Anything that you want to develop, somebody has already thought about it. Somebody has already worked with it. They have commented on it. Even if you have doubts on how to customize it, there's a community, mostly in GitHub or in other websites, where you can just ask the developer questions and you can just make it easy for yourself to implement it. So that is a very, very high level look into Flutter. I think that is only to just create some curiosity. And of course, Google components, there are components from the community, widgets, but there are also widgets from Google. And Google widgets are really good. When I say really good, of course, it is from Google, so it will be good, but it also has a huge coverage. I mean, in most of the times, the components that we want for our application are available in Google itself. So you are like an extension of Google's code, which makes it even more easier for you to develop applications. Okay, we have talked a lot. So what next is essentially, we will do the demo immediately after that. So I will, express my willingness to encourage all of you to create a simple app, because it is so easy. I will show it to you. You can create a simple app, and the excitement really comes when you can actually put it in your own mobile phone and use it. So for example, if you want a simple application to do a very simple job, or let us say you want to take some information from the internet and show it in your application, separate application. It's not a browser. You don't have to see anything else. You only want one information. For example, we sell in the UK market. So I am always interested in the pound rate. So I have an application which shows only that, no other disturbances. What is the current rate of pound sterling? That is something that I have to keep checking, because we have to transfer money when the rates are favorable. So I don't want to go to a website. I don't want to go to an application that has so many other parts. So I've just developed a very simple app for that. And use your APIs. When I say that, if you already have developed technology in either Java or .NET or any other server-based technology, you can actually take the information from that application and feed it into a very simple Flutter application and see it live. So that is going to give you a lot of joy, a lot of sense of achievement, and I will also say utility, because if you want an application, let's say a dashboard, and the information comes from your Java application, you can use it here. And then wrapper apps. This is something that we are recommending to everybody. But especially when in case of old technologies, if you already have a web application which does most of what you want, you don't have to redevelop the entire application. You can just create one web view, one component, which is a substitute for a browser. Put your entire application inside it, and then publish it on the Google Play Store or give it as an APK. So what is the advantage of this? There are multiple advantages. First advantage is that people can use your app without going through the browser, entering the username and password, and getting distracted about other things. One first advantage. Second advantage is that you can gradually change one by one, let's say screens inside that wrapper app also using Flutter. So initially the Flutter screen will show up, and as soon as the browser window shows up, your content is being shown. Now maybe you can send a simple notification to the user using the wrapper app. You can actually show a splash screen, which will be an introduction screen. You can actually start the web app after 2 or 3 steps inside your own application. You can also do a single sign-on between the app and the web app itself, so that you don't have to log in twice. There are many such advantages in using wrapper apps. I think I have come to the end of the presentation. I will pause here for a moment for general questions, and uske baad we will go into the demo.
Any doubts by anybody?
Hello, sir.
Yeah, please.
Any kind of structure which we follow on Flutter, like in web app, we follow MVC kind of architecture. So any
Yes, MVC pattern again is a universal pattern. You can use it in Flutter also. There is also a MVVM model, which is popular in Flutter, which is model view and view controller of sorts, and then another model. So because there is, since Flutter is a front end application, it really cannot control a lot of information, but even within that view model, there is a little bit of control involved. So there is the MVVM is also very popularly used in other technologies. So you can use MVC, MVVM, anything like that, anything of that sorts is possible. Very much like web applications, you can create a separate layer for UI and separate layer for logic also. I mean, MVC is that, but even within that, even within the view, you can actually have the part of the code which is for showing components, and a part of the code which is for styling components can be separate. Or you can keep it separate. Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Means we can wrap our coding in a different wrapper and at different level, and we integrate like that.
Exactly. That is the biggest advantage. That is the easiest stepping stone into a full-fledged mobile application. Maybe first step is you just port whatever you already have straight away, no modifications.
So
And
I
we
think
have
with this, we can convert any website into a mobile app now.
Exactly.
So does it apply to like sort of CMS websites like WordPress?
Yeah, we have done that with WordPress also. And then gradually added application capabilities. The first application capability that we use, that clients are generally excited about, is notification. Because in a website, for you to send a notification is very difficult.
Okay.
But if you have a native application, you can send notification. That's the first step. Then you gradually introduce a small login into that, and then integrate the single sign-on. It's step by step. Yeah.
So once you actually get people onto a mobile app, then you can easily, on notification, you have a loop.
Yeah.
So you push notify, get them to do something, again you interact. So I think that is a kind of direct connect you will get with your client or customer or the end user.
Exactly. So the end users are generally, let's say, very good example is a weight loss application. I mean, I had a client who was using a web application for tracking your food habits and exercises. The single largest reason that people did not really use it is because they just forget it. Because weight loss is something that you have to do all time in the day. You have to enter every food that you eat, every exercise that you do. Even though there may be an interface with things like Fitbit, generally you have to data enter for most of the things. So the problem was that they will just forget. We just introduced a very small feature saying up to 12 o'clock in the morning, if somebody does not do anything, we will gently remind them about, hey, what did you have for breakfast? And then, in the afternoon, we give them capability to turn off the notifications so that you don't get disturbed. But that made a huge difference to their entire sales. And, they started getting much more client conversions and they had a lot of retention. So simple things like this, just a simple reminder might actually make your app 2 to 3 times more useful.
So what are the kind of databases that Flutter could directly interact with? For example, MySQL or
Very little actually, because Flutter doesn't provide full-fledged database interaction capabilities, but we also have real-time databases like Firebase and DynamoDB from Amazon, and many other cloud-based database services. Those can be directly connected. So we have developed applications for customers where there is no server code at all, no server code necessary. I mean, neither in Flutter nor in your old technology, no server code at all. So what happens is you have a database, essentially a NoSQL database or a JSON-based database, just sits in the cloud, and you can directly write applications which can interact with that. And one of the most interesting things that we did with that was a real-time database. When I say real-time database, the data that is entered by one user can be made available to other users in under 100 milliseconds, which is 0.1 seconds. So one of the thing was bidding. We developed a bidding application. So somebody can quote, let us say 100 rupees as the price. And the moment they do that, if everybody does not see it, let's say if it takes 2 to 3 seconds, somebody else can enter maybe 95 or whatever, and they can feel that, they are in the race. But we developed an application which will update within 0.1 seconds across devices. And that is using Flutter real-time database. And again, that is a free to start database. You don't have to pay for it. It's very easy to learn, easy to interact with a lot of libraries. And so you can develop a mobile application with no server code at all.
I think that is also wonderful to hear.
Yeah, I mean, see, essentially, I personally did not even think that a mobile application can be interactive and database oriented without any server code. I mean, 1.5 years back when we started developing, I was surprised because I used to say, okay, you can do all that you want, but a position of a database administrator is confirmed in a company. But now even that is gone. Everything is changing, and this is a very exciting. And I will be very honest, this is not something only Flutter can do. Most mobile application platforms can do it these days, but the easiness with which you can do it in Flutter is amazing for multiple reasons. But one of the major reasons is that Flutter is also from Google, and Firebase is also from Google, and so they work with each other very well. And DynamoDB, which is from Amazon, is also very open. You can do a lot of things with DynamoDB. I will encourage each of you to try, because when I first started, I thought it can be only used for very simple applications. But we have developed very, very complex applications using that kind of database structure with login control. I would even say we can even develop a full-fledged banking application with 100% security using no server code. Yeah. So I think we are talking a lot. Let's do something and let's get into action. I will share my screen now. 1 second. I'm just using a fresh tab only to explain to you that no, I have not done anything in the past. This is the one thing that you have to remember from this training. अगर आज आपको सिर्फ एक ही चीज याद रहा तो ये होने दो, because this is the most important thing. flutlab.io, that is the website, and you can go in. The only thing is I have already logged in. उसमें सिर्फ एक, अगर even if you don't log in, you will get a similar screen. So you get everything that you need to do to create a project straight away without any code or any configuration. So directly jumping into the Flutter experience. So I hope everybody can see my screen.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you. So let's see. First of all, let's create a project, new project. जो मैंने already बना के रखा है उसमें maybe you have some questions. But let me just show you the process of creating a new application. And just say, you click on that plus here, the small plus that's shown here, create project, and then you say yes. After that, let us start with the first Hello World application. So Hello World application is created. All the code that is necessary is there. You can actually run it using the build project button here. Okay. This is okay. I will just log in. Sorry. I thought I had logged in because okay. I'll also do this. Okay. I have now logged in, so I can actually register, run it. So, in fact, without registering, you can create one application, but I have already done that in this computer. So that's it. So this you see is an emulator, which is essentially a mobile device within the desktop. So we have created a small application where we are just saying hello world. Now, just to demonstrate, I will just say Flutter, Flutter, instead of Flutter demo homepage, I will say Flutter homepage, which is on top. You can see this here. I will just modify it and show how easy it is to you. And I am in Kanyakumari, so I'll just say hello world from Kanyakumari. So I will just run this application. I'm building it actually, so you can see that changes are being made as we speak, and then you will be able to see the changes in the screen. For me as an individual, this is the easiest way to learn a new technology rather than writing everything from zero. You have a template, just change few things, you see the results, you get excited, and you spend more time on it, you make something a little more complex, and then you understand the basics, then you become confident, and then you start using it. That is the best way to learn a new technology. It takes a little bit of a while to build. So I will not build future applications. I am just doing it for the first application. You can see the changes. Hello world from Kanyakumari and Flutter homepage. Now you may feel that even in a JavaScript application or a HTML application, you can do the same thing. You change code and you see it in the screen. What's a big deal? Not a great deal, but what you can also do is you can download an APK from here. So this is in web mode. So you go to settings, that is preferences, and you say in target, that is the only setting really. So you can say whichever Android version you are using, and that way you will be able to come back and download an APK file. Now, this feature will make you more excited because let us say you want to just have a small application that shows 2 or 3 images from your family vacation. You want to keep seeing it or something like that. Very, very simple applications. You can just build it and take it in your phone straight away as a chat message.
Suppose if we have to build for iOS,
Yeah, as I mentioned earlier, this is the first step. If you are using an iOS phone, then it is a little difficult. I understand. As I told you, FlatLab is not a official tool. It is a very starting kind of tool. But you can take this project, put it into VS Code, and compile it for iOS. You can create an IPA file, and you can straight away start using it. Earlier, it was very difficult to do that with iOS, but nowadays, Apple is little flexible.
What is the IPA file?
It's similar to APK. It is similar to APK. It creates a kind of a safe environment for you to test applications. You cannot distribute IPS to like hundreds of devices, very much like an APK. Google allows it. Apple will not allow it, but for 1 or 2 devices, it does work. And then there are, of course, you can publish it to the stores. While it is loading, I also want to show you one more small thing for somebody who wants to go fast. If you are generally slow in learning, just forget what I'm saying now because I don't want to confuse you with a lot of things. And I will encourage you to continue to do this. While it is working, I will just show something else. There is a website called Code Magic, which we use a lot. Code Magic is a continuous integration tool for Flutter. What this is, once you properly configure it, it's not very difficult to learn. I will encourage you to learn. It is very easy. So you can, once you do that, this tool will build an application automatically for you. So this is something. So we use this for our clients. This can also, this Code Magic tool can also send emails to you as soon as it is done and things like that. It's free to start. So please, that is something that, you know, if you're really interested in. Yeah, if you're interested in creating applications very quickly, I will encourage you to use these. You know, it is a very, very popular tool. It is being recommended by Google, very stable, and of course, it's initially free. So I encourage you all to check it out. Okay, now you have the APK. I will encourage all of you to go to this website, flutter.io, make some changes to this application, and create the APK and see it in your mobile. I mean, even after creating hundreds of applications, this process is still exciting for me that I can actually write something and take it to the mobile directly. I mean, it feels a little, maybe I am too old. I am excited by technology. But this is really something that you will enjoy. So if you let us quickly look at the code. I don't want to go deep into the code now. If you look at the code itself, it's only one file, main.barp, which is what doing the magic here. It starts at importing the material design file, and then it creates a stateless widget. The screen itself is a stateless widget because it doesn't do much. It just creates, one home page within this. And if you see that, as I told you, everything is a widget. So the total home page is a widget now. And then my home page is also a stateless widget because it doesn't do any interaction at this point of time, and just creates one text here. That's it. Just 42 lines. And even within the 42 lines, if you think about it, 30 to 35 lines are written by, the template or the Google's original thing. So You just interact with only 2 or 3 lines. When there is a little bit of noise, I am muting a few people. Please don't get offended. If you want to ask anything, please unmute yourself and ask. I have not muted everyone. Now let us go to something a little more interesting. Thoda sa. Let us say you want to start a new project again, and that project will be a little more complex. Say UI controls. Key. I'm just creating it. It's very easy. It just creates itself in 2 to 3 minutes, 2 to 3 seconds, and this particular project that they have used, it has almost all the controls that are possible to use from a basic Flutter application. But I have to build this. I'm showing it to you right away. Okay. Again, emulator is available only for web. So you go to the settings, change it back to web, and come to emulator. And it shows the actual application. So you can see buttons here, raised button, flat button, outline button, icon button, drop down, real drop down. And then you can have another one with a small menu here, check boxes, radio boxes, slider control, simple switch button, on and off. Again, some kind of an interactivity. You can see that at the bottom there is a message. The text field, which is the most important field, I would say. Date time picker. You can select a date and also time. So this is a native interface of Android, so it's very easy to use. There is also a increment button here, essentially which counts the number of times you have clicked there. So essentially, almost all the buttons or all the controls that you have in Flutter are demonstrated here. Of course, this is not the limit. You can create your own controls. But these are basics which may be necessary for creating a simple application. All the controls are there. So first I showed you a basic application where you can change something and see it. Here there is a little bit of complexity. थोड़ा सा एक step आगे गए हम लोग, क्योंकि you are just looking at the way you can create controls. Naturally, as you see, there are lots of lines of code, but you don't have to be afraid. Once you understand one code, you will see that it is all very similar and it's easy to learn. So I will just show you one. So the raised button code is here. See, you have this is these are the 2 lines that are necessary for a raised button. That's it. And you can also see that the event is linked here. It is linked here. That is the that is happening. This is a simple event straight away. Show toast. When you click it, it just shows the toast saying, there is raised button is clicked. That's it. So I'm just saying it to click on me because it won't. When you really use Visual Studio Code or another platform, this change that you do, click on me, will work straight away. But since we are in a web-based environment, you have to do the build again. That's something that I will not do now because it takes a little while. When you make changes, without changes, it loads faster. So, any questions till now on whatever I have shown or anything that you can think of?
Hello, sir.
So
Yeah.
Test the functionality we need to build.
Yeah, in this platform, yes, you have to test the functionality you have to build. But when you install Visual Studio Code, and that is the easiest way. But if you are used to Eclipse, you can also use Eclipse or any other platform. When you do that, वो जब emulator से करेंगे वहां पे आपका computer पे, it will load automatically, and that is the single great feature of Flutter. I have not talked about it in the presentation. Hard reload होता है, यानी आप इधर change करो, उधर अपने आप बदलता है. It changes instantly. So that is a very useful feature of Flutter. Yeah, somebody else also had a question.
Instead of material app and scaffold, we can also use our own material app or our own button.
Of course. ये तो हम basics दिखा रहे. We are showing basics. But once you start developing your own, you will not probably use many of these controls. You will want to develop your own. You can write yes. All these are possible. Yes. But material, abhi, there are two things about it. One is of course using the material library, and another thing is the design concept of material, which is actually a very, should I say, standard and accepted way of doing things in the mobile world, especially Android. Material design is very simple. If I have to explain material design, it is essentially a design which tries to replicate real world objects inside a mobile. So it's like a material, actual material that you interact. So for example, this button it will stay on top of all other buttons. या ऐसा है कि आप समझो कि you are using a cloth, you are using a paper, and you are keeping a paperweight on top of it. Even if you keep another paper in the same table, you will keep the paperweight on top of that also. So it's like a paperweight. So you can think of it as a paperweight. It is on top of the screen in this particular screen. So this concept is useful. So I encourage people to use material design even when they are developing web applications. So yeah, even though it is not compulsory, it's a highly recommended tool.
Oh, sir.
आप खुद लिख सकते हो. You can write your own, of course, but at the same time, use the material concept because it makes it easy for the user to interact with your application. Yeah. Chat
I think majority of the applications nowadays use material design even in every component. So
yeah,
people are more comfortable with that,
concept.
UI. User.
Yeah, UI. They are kind of expecting it. So if you don't provide it, they'll be disappointed. So again, this is also theoretical. This app is also theoretical. So let us go to a slightly practical application where you use a new API. Okay, I will delete one of that because they are allowing only 2 applications for free. This is a new profile, so I have not yet confirmed the email ID. I will just create a new one.
Vignesh, sir,
Yeah.
please, you can explain some directory structure so it will helpful to us. So,
1 second. Yeah, I'll just do that. So let me just show you the API package. Base is API calls. Just create it. So see, even though Flutter is a cross application development tool, there are a few things that only an operating system controls. One of that is splash screen. So that you can actually customize the way your application is working in Android and iOS and platform level code using these essential configuration Java XML files or code. So this is the first folder structure, the Android and iOS. Then library is kind of obvious. You can use your own code. You can also add code that has come from another component. So that is the only directory structure that you will generally interact with. Here there is a test widget. This is created by flutlab.io, essentially for you to see the application right away. So that is the test folder. again, web and resources are essentially folders that you can have a place where you keep all your icons and images. That's it. Nothing major in this particular folder structure. The folder structure, I would say, is not very important for Flutter because most of the times you are working only in one folder, this folder. That's it. You most of it. And if you want to organize it, you can do that, like very much like a regular Windows or a Mac folder structure. You can say I will create multiple namespaces. That is possible. However, it is not compulsory. It's something that you can organize yourself. So from a beginner perspective, folder structure is not very complex. It might look like a lot of folders, but you are only interacting with one. Okay. So let me come to this application. I will just show that, and I will also explain why I will not be able to demo it, since this is like a text field. What it does is essentially search Wikipedia and provide results. The demo here is weak. It doesn't work. I have tried it. I will just again try it now because I don't know if they have fixed it or anything. It's a very young application, so it's not working. But my request to all of you is this: just download the APK. Go to settings, which is from preferences here. I hope you all are seeing this. Go to preferences. You change the target to Android all, and come back and just download the APK. And I have actually downloaded the APK on my mobile, and I can actually see it. I'm not able to show it now due to some Zoom restrictions here and there. But essentially, this searches all Wikipedia pages which have a title called Gujarat and brings it up. So that you can see the code here. I'll just go into the code a little bit because this is what may be interesting for you. Even if you want to change the place where it searches, if you see, this is the part of the application which actually does the job. So here, let us say you have your own URL and you can send JSON back from your code in Java or any other application. Just change the URL here, and this code essentially will map through that JSON and will show you the list in a neat manner. I mean, it's a very simple application. Again, it relies on the data structure this way. So if you have a different data structure, you can change it here. So you can show it as per your own convenience. Again, this is a very simple API application, but what it gives you an opportunity to use your own data or your own applications capabilities and expose your should I say application to the mobile platforms. I have not seen honestly an easier way to create an APK than this, because even if I want to, let us say, simply just show one picture APK, for me to open VS Code, start a project, compile it, run it, and all that, it takes a lot of time. The beauty is you can even create this mobile application from within a mobile phone, because this code can be edited from a mobile phone. So it again still excites me that I can do that. So I keep doing it. I encourage all of you to try it and change something. Maybe you just change it to, let us say, Yahoo Finance or another openly available data, like maybe time or anything, and just experiment with it. You will get a confidence that you can work with Flutter and Dart, and that is my, should I say, aim of today's training, that you should get the confidence. I will be honest with you. When we first started developing Flutter applications in my company, many of our developers were afraid, and so I personally developed a lot of code to show to them that Flutter is a very easy tool to use. But nowadays, I am not a professional programmer. So our team is far more advanced. So I don't understand most of what they do. I am focused on selling and interacting with clients. So if any of you are interested, if you have more advanced doubts and you want a full-fledged advanced demo or a workshop, we can certainly arrange that with my developers. And again, even without a workshop, if you find any doubts or any questions that you want to ask, I will leave my contact details. You can contact me directly and I will guide you, or I'll put you in touch with a person who will be able to guide you. So that I'm done with the demo. If any of you want to see any parts of what I have already shown, please let me know, or we can have questions.
और किसी का कुछ डाउट? पार्थ?
Yes, sir. No, I think it's a very good demo. I'll just have only one question. That while talking, we are talking about the hybrid platform development app. Then we also have the React Native and all. So can you just give me the one point that why to use the Flutter rather than other cross development platform?
The single, I would say, the single largest reason
Yeah.
is that Flutter is a real native code.
Okay.
And any other platform, PhoneGap or React Native or anything, relies on JavaScript engine. So
Yes.
when you use a JavaScript engine, it looks like a JavaScript application. It doesn't look like a native application.
Correct.
That is the biggest advantage, no doubt. And full pixel control and things like that, okay, they are step 2, step 3. The first reason is it's really native. And so when clients come to us and they don't want these hybrid applications, the moment that we introduce Flutter, they become afraid and they say, oh, no, don't use it. We don't want hybrid. We explain to them that I will build an app and give it to you. If you can actually tell the difference between what is native and what is Flutter, we will stop using Flutter. And they cannot. You can build it 100% to native standards.
Okay. Great. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
So another thing I find it very big gain is that if you can convert any web application into a mobile app with very little effort.
Yes.
So it will be like if you want, until you develop other things full-fledged, a lot of web-based applications could be made to mobile enabled in both iOS and Android in a very short
time. Yeah, in fact, some of our junior developers can also do it in 2 hours. Like I'm sure all of you can do it in 1 hour or 2 hours. I'm taking 1 or 2 hours because we have to develop the icon and things like that. If everything is ready in 15 minutes, you can be ready. The reason I put that in the presentation is because when you learn a new technology, it is always useful to have a bridge with what you already know. अगर सब कुछ नया करना है तो it will take time. So you will not be motivated. So step 1, create a hello world app. Step 2, create a wrapper app. Step 3, use an API and create a native app. And then that way you will, and all the 3 I have shown, and it's very, very easy in FlutLab to do that. And so even within today evening you can create an application. That is my goal, and I hope at least one of you will do that.
So, sir,
Yes.
can we develop IoT kind of application which we develop in Android, like accessing all sensors?
Exactly. I think I should have said that in the previous response itself. I have a friend from Pune who is actually doing it. It's a very, very exciting application. This application monitors water level in plants, and he's using Flutter. Flutter can allow you to access all sensors. It's a native application. That is the big plus. In fact, I'll tell you one small interesting story about this because it may encourage you. A client came to us and said, we want an application where somebody will take photographs of cars and send it to us. And then an administrator will validate the pictures and they will take it to the library. This was the requirement. So then we asked, what are the typical problems in pictures? And he told us that, sometimes people click a photograph of the car in the front side, but the number plate is not visible. Then we said, yeah, I think we can automatically detect that and tell you immediately, as soon as you click that, well, see, the number plate is not visible. There is a library available within Google's library to detect this kind of things. I mean, the machine learning part is also given to you for free. So we did that application. It was a wow from the client, because they did not even expect a mobile application to be able to tell you that your number plate is not visible in a photograph. It seems like real artificial intelligence capability, but the code that you have to write is very little because the component is available. So yeah, you can do a lot of machine learning and UI. I mean, high tech stuff like IoT and things like that within Flutter. In fact, Flutter is one application which is compatible with already most of the operating systems. It is also rumored to be the #1 tool for Fuchsia, which is, I mean, it is not yet fully come out, the future operating system of Google. And Flutter is also compatible with that. And some of the videos that you see in YouTube about Flutter will talk about Fuchsia a lot. So it can work with any device, even very, very small devices.
Anybody else?
So I will leave my email in chat. I will leave my personal email as well, and official email. You can feel free to contact me directly if you have any questions. You can also, of course, take my mobile number from Nagarajan or the coordinator. We are all willing to help, of course. At the end of the day, if we have to help the country, we have to do it through government. And so we are very excited that a government department is even considering a new technology like this, because we are used to seeing government being outdated, and I will be really happy to help you all to break that shackle and start development. Thank you very much. Feel free to contact me, and I hope by the end of today, at least one of you will develop an application. Thank you.
Thanks, Vignesh. I think your comment about government should be real, because you have more than 10 years of working in government, and then going into MBA, and then coming back to technology, and then delivering it from a remote place. Sort of, now there is no remote in
the virtual world.
Yes, in the virtual world. So these are certain lessons that everyone should take. And now work from home is also becoming acceptable. Online learning is getting acceptable.
Yes.
And hacking yourself to solution is also acceptable. Nobody say there is no eligibility for innovation. Everyone is eligible. So a lot of things, interesting things are happening. So luckily, I've got a good team who are very keen to learn. Just by sending an emails, the kind of participation is good. That shows their interest in learning and knowing something. So I hope this facilitates a curiosity among them. And for my team, don't think that this is the only thing I'm going to expose to you. I have a few other things to pick your brains, and then you can, decide as per your own choice to explore. And if you're able to use something in the live project, I think that will be the wonderful thing. Of course, we can take our time and experiment it in a little way. So I thank Vignesh on behalf of my team, everyone here, for spending his valuable time, and also wonderfully presenting about Flutter. And I am very much enlightened to look at this thing, because this is the kind of thing I have always felt why it is not existing. So I am glad that it is existing, and I could discover it in a fairly quick time before it became mainstream.
Yes.
Because so we know the value adoption curve, technology adoption curve. So if we are in the early people, I think it will be good. So let's see how it goes on. And there are people, not only coders are here, there are people who are like project management or support people in the admin. And they are also here to make them understand about what is happening, and their interest and curiosity to learn is also commendable. So that is why I get inspiration to look for new opportunities and ways to support this team.
That is
So
great.
thank you. Yeah.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Yeah.
Thank
Thank
you
you.
very much, sir. Nagarajan
Thank you.
sir,
Thank you.
thank you. Thank you.
Patel sir, welcome. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
yeah. So thank you, Vignesh. Thank you for joining. I hope that once my team is doing some tinkering, maybe we will need a more detailed session for
Definitely.
actual work.
Yes.
So thank you
We'll
so
do
much,
that.
and thanks to your team also for doing this much good work on Flutter.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Okay, bye.